Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for being with us today. I'd like to welcome you, each of you, to another FranTastic InSights video segment, whereby we introduce to you some very prominent personalities, all of whom are having a very positive impact on the ever-growing world of franchising. My name is David Craghead. I'm the Chief Franchise Expansion Officer for FranServe and also for the Franchise Dictionary magazine. And today I'll be your host for this week's FranTastic InSights. FranServe is recognized as the world's largest franchise consulting and expansion organization. We now have over 600 licensed brokers and consultants throughout the United States and Canada. And our mission is very simple, and that is we change people's lives in a very positive way through franchise ownership. And we do that through a network of incredible franchise brands in 39 different industry categories. And our growth initiatives are supported by a growing portfolio of franchise consultants, all of whom are dedicated to helping their clients explore franchise opportunities which are deemed to be a perfect match for their individual search criteria. So today I'd like to introduce to you Mr. Alex Garmezy. He is the Director of Franchise Development for today's featured brand, which is Taziki's Mediterranean Cafe. Originally launched in 1998, Taziki's Cafe provides their franchisees with the opportunity to own a piece of the Mediterranean, and they do it in a very, very effective way. They were rated the #1 Mediterranean franchise in the United States by Entrepreneur magazine. And Taziki's has seen massive growth over the last decade, and they have no plans of slowing down, with significant new growth opportunities in every state. They offer a wide network of resources for new franchise partners that allows anyone to bring the Mediterranean lifestyle to their very own neighborhood. So Alex, thank you for being with us today. As I pass the microphone to you, please take a moment to share your business model description and your latest perspective on the Taziki franchise brand.
Yeah, thanks for having me, David. And hello to all the FranServe brokers out there across the country. Looking forward to continuing our relationship and getting some deals done. But yeah, Taziki's is rocking it. We're having a great year. One of our best ever, actually. Sales are up nearly 20% year over year, which was, and last year was our best year ever. But our business model is pretty simple. I mean, we're trying to provide incredible food at a really good value. And the brand started in Birmingham with Keith, the founder, doing just that. And he never really envisioned it to become what it has today. So it was small for a while, just his thing. And he got it to 3 units and did that for a long time. And then took some investment, and we have scaled to, we now have, I believe, 91 units open, and we'll have over 100 open by the end of the year. But, you know, Mediterranean is more than just a cuisine category. It's a little bit of a lifestyle. It's a very healthy way of living. There's a reason that the Mediterranean has more blue zones than anywhere else in the world, which is where the life expectancy is 10 years greater than the average global life expectancy. It's because it's great food, and it's really like a healthy, beautiful environment and connecting with people. So our brand, our menu is not so authentic that it's unapproachable to Americans. You know, if someone from Greece stopped in Taziki's, they'd certainly be happy with the quality, and they'd be happy with the cuisine. They might be slightly disappointed that it doesn't have a bunch of crazy, not crazy, but just like super authentic options. But, you know, we're not in Greece, we're in America. It's a fun, modern twist on Mediterranean. And Keith really kind of unintentionally did that from the beginning, just being kind of a Southern Birmingham boy. And that's the direction that the brand has gone in, and we're still there now.
Well, thank you. Does your brand, within the space that you operate in, does your brand offer any unique distinctions that are not offered by your competition?
I would say Yes. Well, first of all, the competition, we're in a great category competition wise. There's lots of burgers and tacos and burritos and just like general salads out there. Mediterranean, when you think about who's the dominant player, we are right there. It's us and really the Kava Zoe's group, but they're not franchising. So we're in a tremendous space. In terms of what differentiates us, I think it's the bowls thing is great, but we're really in a space that is a unique and fast casual in terms of like table touching, bringing the food out, refilling drinks. It's not just like a QSR slash fast casual. It really feels a little more cozy in dining, and our food is prepared fresh every day. Which can be challenging, of course, but it shows in the quality. We are a tremendous brand for our guests, and once we acquire a guest, they're guests for life, and they age with us. There are lots of our competitors are going after young folks, and we have those as well. But we're a brand that spans all types of different age brackets.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Outside the growth that you've enjoyed over the last few years, how has your business model itself changed in recent years?
Yeah, I think any business that isn't always adapting to changing environments and customers' demands and meeting the guest where they are is bound to fail. And so we don't do that. We listen to our guests. And a good example of it is even pre-pandemic, our numbers were shifting to more off-premise dining. And so obviously the pandemic escalated that, and we were ready. We'd already invested a whole bunch of money into our technology, our different app, evolutions. We'd spent a lot on that. We had order from the table. We've got all kinds of different ways to order, and it's been really great. Like 5 years ago, we were 80% dine in, and now we're going to be 35, maybe 40% dine in across the system. So, and that's great. It means though that we've got to reinvent the P&L just a little bit. We don't need all the tables that we used to have filled every day for lunch. Lunch business is better, but we don't need all those tables. So we've been flexible with our real estate. These last 10 or 15 locations are mostly in the 2,500. We even have some sub 2,000 square feet with a drive-through. And so it doesn't mean the food quality has changed. It's just going out the door and being consumed in a different way, which means we've elevated our packaging a little bit because we've got a great dine-in experience. And just like buying an iPhone or something, that box is beautiful. We want our food to be beautiful when folks take it home. And thankfully, we're also in a great cuisine category for that. A lot of our competitors, the food doesn't travel great. By the time you get it home, it's soggy or whatever, but our food is beautiful and it travels really well. So, as we've shifted to accommodate the off-premise guest, that's been a huge advantage for us. And everyone was putting in towers or, takeout shelves that they got at Home Depot and find a spot in the corner to put them. We did that too at the beginning. We've since shifted to beautiful, like very visually pleasing blue tile towered takeout shelves that are rear loading for our staff, and guest facing for drivers and guests that are picking up their own food. So, we want to listen to the guests. We obsess over the data, and we're always willing to change our business model for our success and our franchise partner success and our guests.
You touched briefly on the pandemic, and you talked about how your brand has changed. What other effects of COVID-19 made your brand stronger?
Yeah, so I mentioned the off-premise switch. Day part has also been. We spent a lot of energy and marketing effort and money trying to grow our dinner business over the first 20-something years of Taziki's, and really since it kind of grew up and more professionalized, that was been a annual goal for Taziki's is grow dinner business. The pandemic did that. There was a while there where it didn't seem like there was a through period. We had lunch and it just kept going, and then there was dinner and it just kept going. That's kind of settled in, and we used to be, 60 to 65% lunch. The last 2 years, we've been right at 50-50 lunch and dinner. And so that's been fantastic. Another huge shift is catering has always been a big part of Taziki's. Pre-pandemic, it was about 14 to 15% of our sales, and it was a buffet style. So buffets obviously weren't a thing at the start of the pandemic, really, and they're back now for the most part. But we did shift to kind of a boxed lunch catering format. Save for whatever people could still order to their office. We had plenty of offices. Our best catering customers started just doing home caterings and get it all delivered and that kind of stuff to everyone working from home. But the boxed lunches have been a huge hit. And so, you'll go into a Taziki's in the morning now and you'll see 70 box lunches at 10:30 getting ready, put a bunch of chicken on the grill and whatever else and salads. So growing dinner business, catering is still a big opportunity because we're about 10-11% this year. And so we can still get it back to where it was, which would even be a bigger boost on our almost 20% annual sales growth year over year. So I would say that's a big one. App adoption, our app customers grew significantly through the pandemic, and those are our best guests. A customer that orders through the app is significantly easier to remarket to through our Salesforce platform. And if they're ordering a bunch of vegetable euro or different salads, we can pinpoint that they're a vegetarian. They will get marketing about vegetarian options. It's all one-to-one now. We've invested heavily into that Salesforce marketing cloud, and those customers have a higher basket spend. We can retarget them through push notifications and texts and emails, and so that was, I would say, and we were ready for it. The app was built. It had been in use for a while. We had a rewards program, same rewards program we have now. So yeah, app customer growth, huge for the brand.
Now, I understand you're growing nationwide. Can you describe the design metrics of your individual territories? How are they created?
Yeah, absolutely. So, starting in Birmingham, so we've expanded out of the Southeast. So there's a few markets in the Southeast that are still left and would be fantastic. But we're really looking to continue our growth into Texas. We have a huge new franchise partner deal in the Dallas-Fort Worth market with one of the largest Taco Bell franchisees in the world, which is cool for us because we haven't had one of the world's biggest franchisees believe in Taziki's and make that kind of investment before. So that was a big get for the brand, and I think it's just a matter of time before all his Taco Bell buddies start coming into Taziki's. He says he's already got a bunch interested. So excited for that. But in terms of how will we grow, we do an area development agreement. So typically it's done by counties, and we match we're very relational. So we take our franchise prospects at that point, and through the discovery process, get to know them, how big they are, what their goals are. We're not looking to really partner with folks that just want to do one unit. If it was a really small market and a 1 unit market, sure, we'll do a 1 unit deal. But that is really not what we're doing. We're looking for folks that want to develop a whole market. And so, like for the Dallas-Fort Worth market, he's a large franchisee. So we did a whole DFW area development agreement. And usually it's 9 months to 12 months, could be 15 between units is our area development agreement. And so we have software that we use called InSights. They've got all of our sales data and our customer data. So they help us with a lot of things. Area development agreement, like how many units can be in a market potential is one of the features of that software. So it tells us, this Dallas-Fort Worth market can hold 20 units. And so, that's kind of where we start. What does the 20 unit ADA look like? Does that match up with our customers? So we also did a deal earlier this year in New Orleans. That was a 5 unit deal. It's 5 units is a good number for New Orleans, and it included the Baton Rouge market over there. And I know he wants to continue into Mississippi, Gulfport, I think is the area. But we limited his ADA to kind of that greater New Orleans area, with hopes of, expanding it there forward. But always looking to just match up a market with the person. Usually use county lines, if there's a river or some interstate or mountains or something like that, we're open to figuring it out. But in terms of territories, we really are looking to grow kind of into that Texas and then, New Mexico, Utah, Colorado region in terms of the West, and then the Midwest. Our stores in Cincinnati and Louisville just crush it. Indianapolis is about to get a new owner. And we believe in that group's going to, I don't know, it's kind of a turnaround, but it was really kind of an operator thing. So we're excited for Indianapolis, but St. Louis, Kansas City would be fantastic. And then, of course, into the Northeast. Richmond is as far north as we are right now. And so, we'd love to find a partner that wants to grow on the I-95 corridor. DC suburbs, my God, would just be a cash cow. Those are like our perfect customers. And we can go head to head with Cava there. But yeah, then obviously get up to Philly and Baltimore and New Jersey would be awesome. We are not looking to go out to the West Coast. So we are not looking to do California, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, Hawaii. We don't need to worry about those just yet. If the right franchise partner came along that's really big, we'd have the conversation. But a lot of challenges over there, brand recognition being just like the Taziki's one. But of course,
as you
just like social and economic. Yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off. As you grow your brand across the country and to the different regions of the country, do you feel that you may have the need to maybe localize your menu to match up to the different cuisines of a particular region? You mentioned Louisiana and Texas. They all have their different type of favorite cuisines. Do you think that will affect your menu in any way?
No. I mean, you don't see Wendy's, changing up to have local flair on their menu. For us, we have worked hard over the last couple of years to scale our menu back. So just like any brand, an LTO has success and it finds its way onto the menu, and then that happens again. And over 20 years, you got a lot of things. And when the founder is running the show and is he's deciding a lot of those things. Until recently, he's taken kind of a different role, still in charge of culinary R&D and developing his market of Birmingham and kind of central Alabama. But we have gone from a approved menu and then, or just like a mandatory, and then optional, which we got rid of last year, because that was creating different menus in every location, when you can pick and choose out in an optional menu. So by the end of last year, we made a kind of an ABC, a full, limited, and express model. And we are going to have that down to 2 by the end of this year, and just kind of a limited and express. And then moving forward, I think we can get it to 1 soon. But basically, we've made the menu adjustments. When you look at your menu and you got 12 items that are 80% of your revenue, and then another 20 items that make up that 20%, it doesn't necessarily make sense to continue that. Although some people might be upset that the tilapia got taken off the menu or the fish taco, those kinds of things. You really got to look at it from a business standpoint. And also where labor is your greatest challenge, simplifying the menu and simplifying the prep in the morning has been a focus this year. Just because we're always, as costs are going up, Taziki's operates a third of the units out there from a corporate perspective. So we feel the pain that our franchisees feel when chicken prices go through the roof, when the minimum wage gets raised, or anything like that. So there's brands that don't just make decisions unilaterally and tell the franchisees, what to do. If we say something that hurts the franchisees and is not great business for them, we feel it too. So I think it's really beneficial for our franchisees that corporate operates, roughly 30 units as well. So we're making decisions that are best for our business, that should be best for their business. And menu and simplifying is been a big one that's been very successful this year.
You mentioned labor. We hear every day on the news about staffing shortages and the effects of that.
Yep.
Have you suffered with any of those issues with labor, and how have you addressed them?
Of course, it's been a challenge over the last year. I would say for the last 6 to 9 months, it's actually, we've been pretty well staffed in all 4 of our corporate markets. There was a moment where it wasn't a challenge at all, and it was a code red 12 months ago. Everyone on board, we had business cards. Basically, if we were out to eat somewhere and like the waiter or someone at the drive-through at some restaurant, you should come think about Taziki's. We don't have to do that in our corporate markets right now, and most of our franchisees feel the same way. We have a few inherent advantages. We've got a great model for recruiting that starts at the top, and we've invested. We've hired 2 people in addition to the team that was already in place, and kind of recruiting and training, both in kind of the Spanish speaking roles, recruiting into that community and leaning into first generation Americans. Great work ethic in those cultures. But we find a lot of success in recruiting both against QSRs and full service, because we're kind of in that beautiful middle space where a lot of people get worn out of late nights in bars and dealing with the troubles that full service bar and alcohol brings, and it can wear you down. No, we have beer and wine. It's a small percentage of our sales, and really just kind of an elevated feeling. So there's no alcohol related issues that you have to deal with at Taziki's. And then our operational hours 11 to 9. So basically between 2 shifts, most of our crews getting in 8:30 or so in the morning, and then getting off after lunch, and then the next crew comes in and they're out the door, start cutting staff probably 8:30 or so, and the last person's leaving at 9:30. So from kind of a lifestyle balance, we can recruit really well of folks that are used to long hours and late nights. And then when we're competing for staff at kind of the hourly crew level, I guess the first one's a little bit more salaried kind of level. And when we're looking for crew level folks, our food is really something that you can be proud of. It's not just deep frying French fries and flipping frozen burger patties and pre-cut onions or whatever it is. When someone realizes that they are making real food at Taziki's, and they're slicing up fresh lamb in the morning and getting it seasoned and packaged and ready to throw on the grill for lunch, there's a real sense of pride that comes with that. And so when we can show that to QSR employees, and the Taziki's, it sounds cheesy, but it's it can be so much more than a job, and you can really go home and tell your friends about it. And we often find that our staff is cooking Taziki's food at home, and we can see that through kind of the online education platform where they're looking at different menu recipes at times when they're not on the clock, just to remember how to make that hummus. This wasn't something that was in their culture palette before. And so those are really fun. And another big one that we find that a lot of folks tell us in the crew level is they're not dealing with deep fryers, and they're not going home smelling like oil and smelling like barbecue or pizza. Our food is so clean that it really attracts a high level person, and they stay with us. And so those are great reasons. Another one is the way our register flips with the square point of sale. Love it or hate it, the social pressure of tipping in those situations is a real benefit to our teams. And I'm in Nashville, where we've got, by the end of the year, we'll have 13 units corporate market. It'll be a 20-unit market within a couple of years. And we don't have anyone making less than $20 an hour in the Nashville market. And that's the hourly rate plus the tip sharing and all that. So it's pretty good to compete with that.
Very good. The responsibility of our consultants is to bring qualified applicants to your door. Can you describe for us in your description, what does a perfect franchisee for Taziki's Mediterranean Cafe look like? What characteristics do you really zero in on?
Yes, great question. We are not a great brand for beginner restaurateurs just because our food is fresh and healthy. So the perfect person, which most of our franchisees are, the perfect person lives in their market, and that's really pretty much mandatory for us unless there's some creative reason not to be. They live in their market and they've already got some type of restaurant in the market. Could be, one thing that some type of personal brand restaurant that they own. Ideally, it is the guy who owns, or the woman or the family who owns another franchise brand in the market, and they've already scaled it, or they're scaling it and it's going well. Something non-competitive. Let's say if it was Five Guys, for example, and they own 6 Five Guys in the market, and they're doing great. And they've got people, they've got a bunch of AGMs, and at the corporate level, they've got a team. And if they want to keep growing, they can't open more of whatever they've got because it'll start to cannibalize, or there's just, not a great trade area left. That is the perfect person for Taziki's because they already know the industry, they know the market, and they're looking for another brand to scale with. So that is where we have found success in pretty much all of our franchise markets. It's someone who they already have. I mean, we have a Burger King franchisee, we've got a Papa John's and a Domino's. We've got a guy who just owns a bunch of ice cream shops, mom and pop restaurateurs. But for the most part, our most successful, we got Captain D's, our most successful partners, that's what they have. They've already got the team, and they're looking for a new concept to scale that is complementary to their brand. And when I poll our franchisees, I did some videos with most of our franchisees at our recent convention. And when I ask them what their favorite thing about Taziki's is, it's always pride of ownership in the food. So it's great to serve pizza and have your strong EBITDA line, and that's fantastic. And we've got a strong EBITDA line as well. But what Taziki's is special for our owners is it's somewhere that they can bring their family and their friends, and you can literally eat Taziki's every day. I almost do, and you don't get tired of it because the food is that good, and it's not, and the menu is like the right size. You can order different things, and so our franchisees just feel a lot of pride to say that they own the 6 Taziki's in this market. They own them. I don't know that they would feel the exact same way about the wing stops or what, just like those are great and they have a place and they're delicious. Love wings. But I don't think it invokes the same sense of pride that owning a Taziki's gives you.
Very good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
One more question for you, Alex, and I'll let you go. From the date of signing the franchise agreement until the date the new franchisee serves their first customer, what does that time frame typically look like?
Yeah, well, of course, that's largely real estate dependent. So it can move as quickly as a few months if there's a spot that's ready to go. I mean, our build out time, we typically do leases. Some of our franchisees are sophisticated enough where they're buying and building and leasing to themselves and some other parcels. That's usually the best way to do it if you're sophisticated enough. We're finding 90 days is our typical kind of build out. If it's some type of gray shell or something like that, realistically, if you were to budget 120 days, you should be pretty good within that time. If it's your first store, obviously you got to go through training, which historically runs about 8 weeks. So it is a model that we don't want to skimp on training. We've found that folks that we've made adjustments for and they don't do full training, doesn't set you up for success. So with the first unit in your market, We want to make sure that you get the full training, and we can figure that out if we need to come to you a little bit, either come to Nashville or Birmingham, or kind of our two largest flagship corporate markets, to do that training. And then, of course, that first store will become a training store, and then you don't have to have that expense of sending someone to do training, ongoing. But yeah, that's typically how it goes. The process before that usually takes 3 to 4 months. Also, the discovery, by the time you do a couple calls with me and then calls with our executives, that can all happen within a week or two, and then find time to get together. Usually budget, 2-3 weeks to find that time in Birmingham or Nashville. Spend a couple days together. We can make a decision all quickly if it's a yes or a no. And then, the process of negotiating ADAs and, getting entities formed and all that kind of stuff. So budget 4 months for that. So from lead to deal, 3 months, 4 months, something like that. And then from deal to ribbon cutting, call it another 4 months. If everything goes pretty smooth.
Okay.
Yeah.
It all sounds very reasonable, very realistic too.
That's the goal.
I told you that'd be my last question, but I actually lied.
Yeah, keep them coming.
You brought up the issue of training, and it's 8 weeks. I would assume, or correct me if I'm wrong, is that a combination of classroom versus on-site?
Yeah, it is. It's really 400 hours, which is typically done in 8 weeks. But yes, we've invested into, there's nothing better than in-person training. And a big portion of it is that. And then some of it can be done, of course, offsite remotely with software that we have called Create, all of our menu recipes and how to execute them, and go through little quizzes and tests and stuff like that. That's mostly designed for, crew levels and GMs and stuff, but we definitely want to get together. And if you come from restaurants, you can usually get through that because it can move faster depending on how the training is going. We just put that in there to kind of cover, our training requirements, but it typically moves faster than that. And most of our franchise partners, since they're already in the restaurant industry, they've usually got some type of, their own kind of restaurant vertical, and they've got a COO of their other concept, and, maybe someone else is going to be COO of Taziki's or whatever. And that person typically does the full training, and franchise partner comes for like a week or a few days here and there to get trained on the back end and the software and how to read Taziki's P&Ls and that kind of stuff. That's usually a couple long weekends. It's always fun to come to Nashville. So a lot of our owner level franchise partners that are not going to be, cutting up lettuce in the morning, those folks usually come in for, in total, 4 to 6 days, that kind of thing, just to really be dangerous with the software and know how to execute Taziki's from a high level.
Okay. Well, Alex, thank you for an excellent interview. I appreciate you being so very thorough with your answers. I was hoping you would give us the education that you provided to us today. I want you to know this entire interview will be posted on the FranServe support site. It'll also be archived in the FranServe library, and it'll be also uploaded to Instagram, YouTube. It'll be featured on Facebook and LinkedIn. And Alex, my thanks to you for the pleasure of your time today. And with that, we will adjourn today's FranTastic InSights recording. Thank you, Alex. Take care.
Absolutely. Sounds good. Thank you. Let's get some deals.
Yeah. Bye-bye now.
All right. Bye-bye.